As you can see, I already have my chicken cooking in my stock pot. I've got a deep stock pot because I have about 6 pieces of chicken, and these pieces are pretty big pieces of chicken. And that's one of the most important things whenever you're boiling your chicken, is that you want to make sure that you have plenty of room in your pot with the water, and everything, that they can move around. That chicken can kind of move around as it cooks. So it has come to a boil. I actually have already turned it down a little bit. I have put quite a bit of salt in there. You want to make sure you season this well, so that it's flavorful when it's finished cooking. And also make sure that as you're boiling your chicken, keep an eye on it, and you don't want it to be completely done, because we're going to shred this up and we're going to put it in a casserole, and it's going to cook even longer. So we don't want the chicken to come out rubbery. A little bit of pink will be good. That's probably going to take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how fast your boil is and how large your chicken is. So just keep an eye on it. Okay, the chicken is all cooled, and I am going to shred it up now so that it's ready to mix in with all of the other ingredients. But you can see how easy it is. Just pull it off, but you do want it to be cool, because this is very difficult when your chicken is hot. Trust me, I've done it before. But that's it. We're just going to shred all of our chicken up, put it in, like I have started here, a big mixing bowl, okay? And that's going to hold your chicken and then the rest of your ingredients. Okay, now I have added the onions. I chopped my onions. I added those in there. Now I'm going to put in my chicken broth. And this chicken broth looks a little bit funny probably than what you're used to seeing, because I made this with the broth when I boiled the chicken. I took that broth, and that's what I'm using to add into our dish. I've got 1.5 cups of chicken broth in here. Okay, now I'm going to add in 1 whole can of Rotel, and then I'm going to put about 1/2 can, and I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to see if I need the whole can or not, but I want to wait till the end before I add the rest of that. Now I'm going to put in a couple of teaspoons of garlic powder. Just, you don't even have to measure this if you want to just sprinkle. Okay, and then I'm going to put in probably 1 teaspoon, a heaping teaspoon, because we like heat. So I'm going to put a heaping teaspoon of chili powder in there, and then I'm going to add some salt and some pepper. We always want to add salt each layer, and we've already salted the chicken because we salted the water that it was boiling in. All right, now I like one ingredient, my shredded cheddar cheese, but I'm not going to add that in until I'm ready to put them in my tortillas. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a mix. Okay, I almost forgot. This is 2 cans of cream of chicken soup and 1 can of cream of mushroom soup is what I'm putting in here right now. And I had this sitting to the side, and I was mixing it, and I thought, well, this doesn't look right. And that's why. This is very important. Don't want to forget this. Now I'm going to give it a mix. Okay, I've been getting everything ready, putting stuff together for the dish that we're making. And this dish is out of this little cookbook right here. And this cookbook actually came from my son and my daughter-in-law. When Jade was sick, they did this cookbook as a fundraiser, and there are recipes in here from actually all over the world, because there were all different kinds of people everywhere praying for Jade and JC. But this is a real treasure to me for many reasons. Yes, because Jade and JC put this together, well, mainly JC, but also the recipe that I am working on right now is in this cookbook too. And this is one of my mom's most favorite of all of our family's recipes, Mexican chicken. And oh my goodness, I cannot tell you the times that I have had this meal. and my sister-in-law also, because my mom always asked us on our birthdays, what do you want? And she would fix our whatever we wanted. And most of the time, me and Amber would always pick Mexican chicken. Now, you've seen some stuff that I put into it up to this point, but also, along with the Mexican chicken, we would usually have cheese dip, guacamole, salsa, of course, chips, and refried beans, and sometimes even Spanish rice. I'm not a big rice person, so I usually didn't request that, but everybody loves it. So it was a big ordeal. So this is just very special to my heart. It brings back so many memories. Stirring this up, even just the smell of it, just brings back memories of celebrating with my mom. And like I said, I've eaten this a million times, except for before when I ate it, my mom had made it. So, so I've got all the ingredients in here except for my cheese. I always wait to the very end to put the cheese in, because this is a great recipe. You can mix it up, you can stick it in the fridge until you're ready to assemble it and cook it. You can even go ahead and cook it and put it in the fridge or freeze it. So this is a great recipe, and it's really pretty simple to put together. The last ingredient that I'm going to be adding is I have about, I would say, a pound and a quarter of cheese. I grated it. Now, this is white, but it's just white cheddar cheese. We like the white cheddar, so it looks a little bit different, but it's still just cheddar cheese. And I'm going to mix this up, and then we will start assembling this with our tortillas. But this dish is so, so good. You can make it even spicier if you want. It does have a little bit of a kick to it, but you know, I use the mild Rotel. So they have even a hotter Rotel if you want to spice it up a little bit more. Also, the chili powder that's in it, you can increase your chili powder too. Throw in a little cayenne pepper in there if you really like the heat. But anyways, we love it pretty much just how my mom always made it. So I'm going to get that mixed in here good. And I also wanted to point out to you, like I said, I'm doing this for a family get together tonight. And so I actually did 1.5 of the recipe measurements, because there's going to be quite a few of us there, and I wanted to make sure we had enough. But I just kind of wanted to show you real briefly how easy it is. You know, cooking for two, you can take any recipe you want, whether it's for a huge group or it's just for, 4 or whatever, and you can customize it to fit exactly what you need. So I've showed you right here, I have my pans already sprayed, okay? So if I wanted to do this just for the two of us, and I didn't want to have leftovers to be able to freeze or anything, then what I would do from the original recipe, which calls for 4 chicken breasts, I would do 2. It says 1 large onion. I would just do half of an onion. A can of cream of mushroom soup, a can of cream of chicken soup, okay? Just pick one. Which one is your favorite? Use 1 can of soup. This calls for 1 cup of chicken broth. You would put in a half a cup. 1 pound of cheddar cheese, you would put in a half a pound. 1 can of Rotel, I would just go ahead and throw the whole can in there, because it's not going to make that big of a difference. That's what I do. And then, your garlic, your chili powder, that's all you do. Whatever this says, if it says down here it's going to serve 6 or 4 and you don't want that much, just cut it in half. Now I am doing it almost double, so I'm increasing the measurements. But that's all you have to do, and you can customize it to fit exactly what your needs are. The last thing I want to tell you before I move to the next step of this recipe is, also when I boiled the chicken for this, you saw that earlier, those chicken breasts were huge. And so as I was shredding it up, just because it says 4 chicken breasts, you don't have to use all of those. They were huge, the ones I had. And so it really was a little bit too much chicken. So what I did was, I just took out some of it and I put it in this container. I have this already shredded up. It's delicious chicken. I can make chicken salad with it. I could do a small dish of poppy seed chicken. I mean, Ritz chicken, all kinds of stuff. So just keep that in mind as you're cooking. You know, just because a recipe calls for a certain amount doesn't mean you always have to stick exactly to those measurements unless you're baking. If you're baking, that's a whole different ballgame. But in cooking, there's lots of wiggle room. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the next step. Okay, now to the fun part. You can see I have a stack of flour tortillas here. This is, normally you use one bag, so I got 2 bags because like I said, I'm doing 1.5 of this recipe. And I'm gonna have some left, but that's fine. So what you wanna do is, you wanna probably just take, I would say, a couple of tablespoons, and you're gonna just, you know, kind of a heaping tablespoon, and you're going to put that right in the middle of your tortilla. Then you're gonna take it and you just roll your tortilla over. Just keep rolling it. Take it the seam side of the tortilla you put down in the dish, okay? And that's what we're gonna do. We are just gonna keep doing that. Now, let me say this. You're better off to go with a smaller amount in your tortilla because you have to have some of the filling left to be able to pour over the top of it to bake it. Because if you put it in the oven and all of your tortillas are exposed, they're going to burn. So you have to have some of this filling to spread over the top of your chicken. So all of this filling is gonna get used one way or another. Whether it's in your tortilla or it's on top, you're gonna use this whole bowl of chicken, the filling. So if you're a little bit afraid that you're not gonna have enough for the first couple times you make it, just to make sure that you end up with enough at the end, then it's okay if you wanna lessen the amount of filling that I'm putting, just to make sure that you can cover all of your tortillas in the end. Because like I said, as long as there's a little bit inside there, there's gonna be enough in this whole dish that, you know, you can spoon more on top if you need it when you're eating it. Okay, one thing I did want to point out to you as we're going, you want this dish to be really full of these tortillas, okay? So sometimes it looks like, oh gosh, that's full, I can't put any more. You just kind of squish it up, you know, push it up, and then you can see I can still fit this one and one more, maybe 2 more in here, because you want your dish to be completely full. Okay, I've already put the topping on one pan, and now I'm gonna finish up and let you see how I did the topping on the second dish. So what I do is I just kind of I'm gonna leave a little bit in the bowl just to kind of go back to places that didn't get covered up good, but you just wanna pour it out there. There's no perfect way to do it, just get it in the dish. Then you just kind of want to spread it around. Like I said, make sure all your pieces of the flour tortilla are good and covered up. You know, with tomato, chicken, whatever, it doesn't matter, just some of the sauce. You just don't want them exposed because they will burn. All right, so that looks really good. But if you'll notice over here on this one, there are a few of my tortillas that are kind of poking through. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the rest of this and I'm gonna put it in this one and get these good and covered up. You do not wanna leave any of this deliciousness in the bowl. Oh my gosh, this stuff is so good, y'all. This is such a good recipe to have. Just for an easy weeknight, if you're having company, if you want to make it up and make extra and freeze it to have it for later, it freezes well. And when you recook it, the tortillas are a little bit more soggy, but it's still really good. And if you have an air fryer and you can stick it in the air fryer right at the end, you know, if you have frozen it, then oh my gosh, it is just delicious. All right, so this is it. Now, I do take at the end a little bit more cheese, and we're gonna sprinkle a little bit more cheese on here. And if you heard my oven just went off and said, hey, I'm preheated. So I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. We're gonna put it in there and we're gonna let it cook for about, since I have 2 of them, it might take 40-45 minutes. You know, everybody's oven is different. Just make sure about 30 minutes you check it. And what you wanna see is whenever you see the edges start to bubble, your cheese is good melted and the edges are starting to bubble and kind of brown, usually that's a really good sign that it is ready to go, that the middle is good and cooked and heated up. That's what you want to look for. I'm going to go ahead and get this in the oven now and let's watch it cook. I'm getting these out of the oven, but I want you to take a look at them. Normally, I would let this cook for probably at least maybe 10 more minutes. It's been in there about 30 minutes. And I would probably normally let it cook about 10 more minutes, but as I said earlier, we're going to a family get-together, and I'm taking this dish. And so by the time I get there, it's gonna need to heat up a little bit more. You know, it will have cooled down and we want it good and hot. So I'm gonna be sticking it back in the oven. So because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out now. Because when I reheat it, I don't want it to get dried out and crusty. So, like I said, normally about 10 more minutes, that would have been about 40 minutes. But, you know, this is why, too, always check your own. You know, put you a timer on it, about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and be sure and check it because you never know how it's going to look. I mean, sometimes even the same dishes, I can cook them and the timing is different. But for today, we're going to go ahead and take this out. And I just kind of wanted you to get a picture of what it looks like almost done. Well, thank you so much for watching the video today. As always, the recipe is on my website. You can go to www.cookitfor2.com. That's cookitfortwo.com. That takes you to my website. My blog is there. That's where all my recipes are. So you can get this recipe and many, many others. And if you haven't subscribed to my blog yet, go ahead and do that while you're there. Subscribe to my blog. You can also find me on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed there, subscribe there and make sure you hit that bell because that just means that every time I put out a new video, which I try to do weekly, you'll be notified that there's a new video out. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So with all those different choices, be sure to check me out. If you like the videos, do me a big favor. Like them, comment on them, share them. All of that is very, very helpful to me. And if you know anything about Facebook and the word algorithm, okay, I need all that. And that would really help me. Check it out. Lord bless you.